What is going on, everybody? It is episode 817 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We are back from the weekend. Do you have a case of the Mondays today, Brett?
I do, because my camera's actually off just ever so slightly.
Is that what you thought you were forgetting? Right before we went on air, you said, I think I'm forgetting something, but I'm not sure what.
I don't. It's just like...
It looks fine.
The E in culture is... It should not... the plane should be over farther. It's fine.
Okay, I think it'll be okay.
It's my case of the Mondays here, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing well, but before we get started, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you, because sharing the video with everybody, subscribing to the channel, liking the videos and the live streams are all pretty much the best ways that you can help this channel grow. So thank you so much for that. We did pass 357,000 subscribers over the weekend, which is a beautiful thing. So thank you guys so much for that. So what are we talking about today? Well, we've got a whole bunch of stuff to get into. Girlbosses in space made it home. We're going to talk about it. It was a very, very serious endeavor. Many great advances have been done for women and feminism just by this one trip to outer space. So we're going to discuss it. We're also going to talk about the communist revolution going on at Coachella over the weekend. You think I'm being facetious, but I'm not. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about a bunch of finalized announcements as it relates to the Harry Potter casting. They said they're casting the children, waiting to the very last minute because they got to be like 11 years old when it starts. So we got news there. And also Amy Lou Wood is very upset that SNL decided to make fun of her.
I realized just now why Amy Lee has such a ring to it. It's the Evanescence girl.
Yes, the Evanescence lady.
But Amy Lou Wood is playing Chelsea in White Lotus, and she was the subject of a bullying segment on SNL over the weekend, and she went on a rant about it on Instagram and demanded an apology.
She was very upset.
She got what she wanted, though. They did apologize, and they should not be doing that.
That's very embarrassing, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think it's the opposite of what comedy should be and what it stands for and why comedy exists in the first place.
I did see some really funny comments that were like, if you think this is comedy, you're just wrong.
I'm not even saying that SNL is funny or that their impression of her was funny. It's just, you can at least try, you know? Try not to be spineless cowards.
Well, it's not just them, though. It's like people have, people end up being affectionate to people who can take a joke.
Yes.
Like when somebody can make fun of you and you can take a joke, people will look on you that much better.
That is true, but Amy Lou Wood simply couldn't take the heat.
All right. Well, if you're ready, then let's get started. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Girlbosses in outer space, the conclusion.
Yeah, we talked about this last week, this Girlboss trip to space with Blue Origin. Jeff Bezos allegedly was sending his fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, on a one-way trip to space because he doesn't want to marry her, but it didn't work out because all of them survived. And not only did they survive, they have now tread the final frontier for all of womankind. I can actually feel myself gaining new women's rights at this very moment because of what they've done for us. As the female sex, it feels like this is really the newest milestone in progress.
Since us men are being left in the dust, can I read Katy Perry's quote?
Go off.
Okay. Well, Katy Perry had a lot to say about these new advancements for women when it comes to space and technology. So this was her quote. She said, "Space is going to finally be glam. If I couldn't take glam up with me, I would do that. If I could take glam up with me, I would do that. We are going to put the ass in astronaut."
Women's rights.
So
how does it feel?
I don't know what she means by take the glam up with her. Like, does she mean makeup?
So they got a glam team to show up and make them all look beautiful and done up, gussied up before their trip. It was an intense process because, you know, when you go up into zero gravity, your false eyelashes might start floating off of your face. You have to really beat down that makeup before you get rocket launched into space.
Let's watch the video.
Yeah.
From before they
Yeah, they made a
went out.
promo
They
clip
did.
here.
Here we go.
Thank you so much.
We love you.
We love you.
All
Bring
a
us
photo
back
op.
safe.
We're so grateful.
We're counting on you.
We're counting on you.
We believe in you too.
They're in these
Thank you for helping us
skin-tight
heal.
space suits.
3, 2,
They're bell bottoms too.
Lauren Sanchez making her big entrance.
Okay, here's you like
Oh, I didn't realize the boots had wedges in them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're come strutting out.
You have to wear aviators.
Yeah.
Because you're going into space.
Yeah. Badass women. Just women being empowered.
So can I actually explain why this is different from celebrity men going into outer space like William Shatner? Because when the men are doing it, they're not pretending as if they're doing something great for humanity.
Yeah.
And Mary asked me before the show, she asked, would I want to go to outer space? And I kind of I was thinking to myself, I was like, would I want to go to outer space? Like, I guess the experience would be kind of cool. But to me, like, for a guy to do this when they're not an astronaut, for a person to do this when they're not an astronaut, it just seems pointless. Now, I'm sure it's beautiful up there and it's a once in a lifetime experience, but that's only if you're doing it from the tourist perspective, right? Like the idea here is like, you're not actually doing anything. You're not an astronaut. It mans itself. It does all the work itself. So it would be like somebody being like, do you want to fly a plane, but you don't actually fly the plane? It just is on autopilot the whole time. Like, you get on a plane to go from point A to point B. You get in a spaceship, you know, when they're doing lunar missions to go actually complete a task. Whereas now it's just something you do to say that you did it. I would never get in a plane just to get in a plane. I would only do it to actually go from point A to point B.
I think this is a little different.
As a guy, I wouldn't want to do it without actually being an astronaut. It's not
What
the
I
same thing as
said-
flying in a plane.
I mean, this is the entire reason that Blue Origin exists as a commercial enterprise of Jeff Bezos, because he knows that space tourism for the rich elites is going to be a big deal
Then
in
make
the coming
it
years.
tourism and not
That's what
something
this is.
gendered. And
Well, I know that, but you can't help the way that the women on the trip wanted to market it as this photo op and this
Yes.
brand for them. And I said back when we originally covered this that these women are going to frame it for the rest of their lives. Every time that they're asked about it, they're going to say, like, I think that we're just like bonded together in this like really special way that you can never like take away from us
There's a
because
group
we
chat.
went through that together.
There's a Blue Origin group chat.
Yes. And men would never say that.
Not
they
unless
would
it was
only
in
say
service
that
of
if they had
accomplishing
something to do with planning or building the technology and doing it together as a team effort.
Correct.
Women, however, just by passively experiencing something as a group, are going to feel bonded together because of it. Yeah. We have a 20 from Joker. I, for one, welcome our new insect overlords. Is that Lauren Sanchez, our queen aunt?
We have Katy Perry.
Yes, this was her last video posted before the Blue Origin trip that was basically like, if this is goodbye, like, see you in the next life.
Yeah. One day before I get to go to space. I think if you know me, you know that I'm always looking for little confirmations from the heavens, from my guides, from my angels, from my higher self. You know, when I ask for it and I'm open to it, it's pretty loud. So when I was invited to come on this voyage, I looked up the capsule, and the capsule on the very front of it is the outline in the shape of a feather.
I suppose it's better than the sub last summer.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And when I saw that, it was like a total confirmation because my mom has always called me Feather. And so I'm in space training today, and it's, you know, there's a lot to digest. We're almost finished with the day, and they show us the capsule, and we have run simulations in another capsule and tested the noise and what to expect and all these different things. And they reveal the capsule name, and the capsule's name is Tortoise. A wave, just the most energetic wave just shot through my body. And I was like, whoa, what? This capsule's name is Tortoise? My mom calls me two nicknames, Feather and Tortoise.
It was meant to be.
What are the chances that I'm going to space on a rocket in a capsule with my symbol, the feather, called Tortoise?
I'm sorry. I just cannot help finding this to be so cringy.
Okay.
I'm sure she's being completely honest,
Yeah.
and she feels really strongly about this being a moment for her. But anyway, in response to her posting this video, a lot of people thought, like, I have a bad feeling about this. Like, my gut is telling me she's in danger and she's not going to survive. But it turns out everyone was safe and sound and made it back to Earth. And they have a video of the touchdown that I'm excited to see because you were saying that they were all screaming like little girls.
I love it. Here we go.
So those are like the guide parachutes. There go the drogue parachutes.
Just free falling right there until those drogues came out.
And then next will be the main parachutes.
They're fanning
that
themselves like
get
this.
Pulled out.
Hear that screaming inside the capsule?
And all three parachutes reefing, and they will slowly inflate.
You too could do this, women, if you study really hard and become a billionaire so that you can afford the space tourism.
It's like a glorified carnival ride.
Like, were these women there for that woman who was just rescued from the International Space Station, who was like an actual astronaut?
No, no one gave a shit about her, to be
Nobody
honest.
cared about her because she didn't sing the song E.T. with Kanye West.
Yeah, well, I wonder if that's the one that
Capsule to a
Katy
nice
Perry
smooth
performed in
10,
space.
15 miles an hour.
I hope so.
Gail
So
King,
important. So
But yeah, let's
Gail King confirmed that they got a private concert from Katy Perry
But
in
the
the
best
space
part was
shuttle.
when we got back in our seats after zero G's, Katy sang "What a Wonderful World."
She did?
Nice.
Come on.
She sang "What a Wonderful World." I see
Did you just all
dreams.
start
Oh
crying?
yes.
Oh.
Because we'd been asking her to sing all the time, and she wouldn't. And she wouldn't.
Well, yeah, she gets paid for that. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's, you know, if you're what did the Joker say? When you're good at something, never do it for free.
You're telling me that she didn't perform E.T. in space.
Missed opportunity.
I hate everything. We have a 20 from Weary Traveler. Happy Monday, PCC and community. I saw the amateur over the weekend with my junior mwints and really enjoyed it. It's like if you combined John Wick with Jigsaw and made him work for the CIA. 8 out of 10 IMO.
Cool.
You gonna see it?
I'm waiting to see
think?
the accountant too.
All right.
Seeing the accountant too.
Jeff Bezos also was seen
He was-
face planting in the dirt.
Yeah, bro.
At the
just
rocket landing
give him
because
a
he was so
break.
anxious to find out whether Lauren Sanchez, his sweetheart, was okay.
I like you being an observer.
They'll point it out here. I gotta go full screen here.
We love
He's
being
over
able to
here.
share
He's
this
a true
experience with you. Thank you
yearner.
He's
for
over
sharing
here. He's right
Yes.
there. Don't worry. They're gonna
How you feel out here
wait.
with our
He doesn't see
audience,
this ditch
so
right there.
It's
Oh!
really incredible. So yeah.
Took a spill
My
there.
only hope is that it isn't that isn't her seat on the pod.
Yeah, no. Then she would get the
She's
ick,
gonna get
and then
the
it's
ick and
over!
divorce him.
No.
It doesn't matter that it's his rocket. Doesn't matter that it's his company. Doesn't matter that he sent her to space. He tripped in a ditch. He's got to go.
No. Well, they're not married yet, so maybe this is what.
She's gonna leave him.
Put
She's
their-
gonna leave him at the altar because she's gonna be like, "Look, I tried to get over it, but every time I thought about walking down the aisle, I just imagined you tripping on the way, you know, down there."
I originally thought there was something sinister about this, and maybe Bezos was kind of crossing his fingers that it wouldn't work out. Not only would that be terrible for Lauren Sanchez to die in that way, but it would also be terrible for Jeff Bezos's brand, and no one would, use Blue Origin anymore if it went the same way as the submarine incident last year. Ocean Gate.
Pop Crave says Katy Perry looks fantastic for Space Journey. I know that's what's important when you're going to outer space.
That's the real point here. All of this, it could have been faked, honestly. They could have faked the entire thing and only used it for photo ops for Instagram, and we'd be none the wiser, and it would make just as much of a difference on the planet and just as much of a difference for women regardless, because it made literally zero impact. As Matt Walsh pointed out, he said the first all-female space flight was a tourist trip on a remotely piloted vessel. It lasted 11 minutes in total. Nothing was accomplished. No scientific advancements of any kind were made. This is not a shining moment for feminism. By the way, I think going to space is cool. I would do it if I had the chance. But to pretend that there is anything historically significant about this event is just laughable.
Let me tell you what it was actually a shining moment for. It wasn't a shining moment for feminism. It was a shining moment for capitalism. That's what it was. It was a shining moment for what happens when you build humongous companies that profit extreme amounts so that you can funnel money into your other pursuits, like your rocket company.
Right. And also because of the immense wealth of the women who ended up on this trip. Unless you're talking about the activists that they invited, the ones that we had never heard of.
Well, one of them was actually like an astronaut, right?
One of them was a NASA rocket scientist.
She belongs there.
The other ones, one of them was a civil rights activist. One of them is just like a filmmaker.
I mean, I can actually see the point of a filmmaker going, because maybe like the studio pays for it so that they can develop firsthand knowledge so that they can write a script.
No, I'm
Gravity to Electric Boogaloo.
I'm pretty sure that Blue Origin came up with this eclectic group in some sort of way to promote Blue Origin.
Oh, here's the thing, though. Do you think...
And footed the bill for them.
Do you think they gave them pretzels?
I bet they did get
up there?
pretzels.
Did they get
up
pretzels?
There in the atmosphere, they got free pretzels from Blue Origin.
There's two
We have
20s.
a couple of 20s. Shane H. Wilder said they're going to do Blue Origin flights out of Midland, Texas, my hometown. They changed the name of the airport from Midland International Airport to Midland International Air and Spaceport. They're taking one of the 6 gates.
Okay.
Interesting. I guess this is the future now, you know? Thank you.
They did! They put a girl on! Why are you still asking?
We put a girl into space. We have a 20 from Isaac Cervantes III. I saw King of Kings over the weekend. Kids didn't eye roll. 8 out of 10 IMO. I didn't even eat. Who needs to eat in a less than 2-hour movie? Popcorn and pretzels? Grow up. People got so mad at me over that.
Well, you are the master of having extremely, strong opinions about extremely irrelevant things.
Yeah, I mean, I admit that it's irrelevant and unimportant, but I feel strongly about it. I don't care.
Well, that's the point, though, right? Is it's like when they talk about why academia is so cutthroat, because the stakes are so small.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I tweeted about my controversial pretzels opinion, and everyone got all bent out of shape. Get it? They bent themselves into a pretzel over it.
All right. Well, you know what? Good job, ladies. Let's move on.
Yes, it was a win for all women everywhere. Benson Boone is a rising star in pop music. He was performing at Coachella over the weekend, and he had the biggest song in the world last year with his single Beautiful Things. You've probably heard it. I have heard it. Always Against My Will. Everything I know about this man, I have learned against my will. I have not sought any of it out, and that has me thinking we have another industry plant on our hands. So, in case you don't recognize it by the title, the song goes, "Hey, wait, things that I love." Okay, that's what the song sounds like, and it's the most obnoxious Instagram reel audio you can possibly think of. I have not been able to escape it ever since it came out.
I assume that's the point.
Yes, the point is that it's an earworm, and I hate it. And Benson Boone himself isn't exactly a draw personality-wise. He seems quite annoying, actually. They just did a feature with him on the cover of Rolling Stone, And they're talking about this big year he's had in his career and in retrospect, what he's going to do next. Benson Boone on Life After Beautiful Things. He's 22 years old. That one shocked me because he looks 32 years old.
He's got the haircut of a dude in his 30s who decided to get edgy for a bit.
Yeah, it's just so Zoomer of him to have the mustache mullet combo, which I already hate. But at 22, he had the biggest song in the world last year, and the future looks even brighter inside the heart and mind of a rising star. They call him a pop phenomenon on this cover of the magazine. And one thing they addressed in this interview was the idea that Benson Boone doesn't want to rely on his body to sell his shows.
Yeah.
Right, because everyone was talking about your body, Benson Boone. The most impact he's had on the culture is Mark Zuckerberg performing as Benson Boone for his wife. That's literally the only impact he's had so far. So here was his full quote. I definitely remember there was a time where I would take my shirt off because I didn't know what else to do. After a lot of shows, you start to pick up on what people like and don't like, what girls like and don't like. There is an art to making anybody go crazy. I also don't want people to come to a show expecting me to just take my shirt off and have it be like a gun show. One, I don't have the guns for that. Two, that's just not what I'm about. I don't want to rely on my physical form to be the primary driver of my shows.
I kind of love that it's like reverse feminism.
Is this men railing against objectification?
Meninism.
This is meninism in action.
Meninism. Folks. Where he's like, I'm tired of being treated like a piece of meat.
It's so presumptuous because I don't really see anybody thirsting after Benson Boone to begin with.
Well, clearly he does.
So I guess he's saying that this was a huge draw for his shows and he decided to make it about the art.
10 years ago, this would have just been the Lumineers in 2013 and then Fun.
I saw one tweet that stuck with me. They said Benson Boone makes music for Israelis. And I was like, I don't know why, but that's so true.
I mean, he makes music for like, look, if it was 10 years ago, it would have been fun while you were a millennial eating your burger on a cutting board.
Thistle and Thorn.
At Thistle and Thorn, eating your $40 cheeseburger. This is just the Gen Z version of $40 cheeseburger music.
We have a 20 from Value in You. We need one full episode or at least a segment where we can request Mary to do a song or voice impression. Too good.
Hey, wait.
I try my best.
Hey, wait. You should have done Nirvana instead.
He literally copied Nirvana and got away with it. I don't know if he's like paying them royalties or what's going on there, but it was fully a copy and it's his biggest song. And now he's bought a house with the money and he's considered the next big thing. I just don't understand the appeal. It seems like nobody else does either. And it's funny that he would say this about not wanting to rely on his sizzling hot physique for his fame. You know, it's all about the art, right? But he's wearing outfits like this one, this stupid jumpsuit getup that he puts on at every show.
I mean, it looks like a mixture between your mom giving you pajamas that don't fit anymore and something Freddie Mercury would have worn.
He looks like Freddie Mercury from Wish.
That's what I thought.
He's Temu Freddie Mercury, but also like I thought Harry Styles was Temu Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
And he's not even doing a good job at it.
Me and Olivia had a whole discussion over the weekend about there are no like normal male, straight white male pop stars anymore. Yeah. He's probably supposed to be the next closest thing, and this is as good as you're going to get.
Yeah.
Like, nobody counts Harry Styles. Harry Styles, you know, panders to the girls and the gays.
Coded.
Whereas back in the day, the male pop stars would have pandered to the women only.
Right. Well, if you look at this photo and you think Benson Boone might be homosexual, let's just dispel that rumor. I was under the impression that he was gay as well, but the truth is Benson Boone is a straight man in a relationship with a TikTok influencer and actress named Maggie Thurman, at least as of February last year. So he is a straight white male and allegedly the next big thing in pop music. So there you have it. This is what straight men look like now.
Yeah.
And allegedly, this is what women find hot.
Well, what did
these
we talk about earlier? We talked about it was like Justin Bieber was the last straight white male pop star,
and then
it kind of shuffled into like the multi-genre stuff, like a Post Malone, and then or like even The Weeknd in 2012. That's what I think of when I think of somebody, because they're considered pop, even though I would say that The Weeknd is more R&B and hip hop.
I mean, even Morgan Wallen being a country star is still to a degree a pop star because of his popularity.
Then he would fall into this category because he makes music for country fuckboys.
But these Broadway girls, huh?
Yeah.
But like, if you go by the genre of pop and what that's supposed to sound like, the options are scant. I mean, I don't really know what place there is for a straight white male in that industry and in that space anymore. It's just girls and gays.
Well,
even if you're straight, you better appear to be gay.
What's the analogy that Tim always puts? He goes like, who's on the cover of a woman's magazine? A woman. Who's on the cover of a men's magazine? A woman.
Yeah, right.
It's true.
Right. Yeah, there just seem to be more marketable options. I
guess that's not even necessarily true, because like they have the things like Men's Health and stuff like that, but even that is like pandery.
Yeah. But we had One Direction, and we had Justin Bieber, and we had lots of others as well. We had Shawn Mendes back when he was more relevant, and we had
he doesn't count. He doesn't go to his concerts and he cancels them. I hate Shawn Mendes.
There were other like heartthrobs who were on the cover of like Tiger Beat and J14, and I actually read those magazines.
You were allowed to have those at home?
Yeah, what do you mean? They're for kids.
Okay.
Well, kind of. They're for teenagers.
They're for Satan, I'm assuming.
No, I was allowed to read all those magazines. It's analog. It's analog media. It's better than reading this stuff on the internet. But we don't have that anymore because the replacement for it is basically K-pop groups like BTS, and gay pop stars. That's it. Like, they're not encouraging young girls to feel any sort of draw toward a male pop star because the heterosexual moray is not in vogue anymore. But
I do agree with the chat, though, that he's wearing a codpiece of some sort.
Yeah, this is the look of a guy who is desperate for attention, and cheap attention at that. And now he has revealed his next album cover. His second album is going to be called American Heart, or at least that's the tentative name for it. Mm-hmm. And he pulled a Lana Del Rey. I've seen Lana Del Rey take photos like this draped in the American flag many times. But this is his rendition, shirtless, and also just covered in muck.
It would be cooler if it was Rocky. That's all I'm saying.
So no one likes this. Literally, the target demographic and everyone else disliked this.
I think he ordered a Palestinian flag, and this one showed up by accident.
One of them said, "I thought he didn't want to be known for his body, and this is the cover." Another one said, "I feel like he smells like shit." It's probably because he looks like he smeared himself in shit before taking the photo. Another one said, American-themed album during a Trump presidency.
Shocking.
And then this one was the most blatant. The gays weren't having his shit, so he knew he had to pander to the Republicans next.
Wait, didn't Beyonce have the American flag in her Cowboy Carter? Am I misremembering that?
No, and yeah, you're right. In the Cowboy Carter cover, she's on this horse, and
was there an
she
American
has
flag?
An American flag in her hand, but it's just off center. But yeah, she wasn't accused of pandering to Republicans. He's being accused of pandering to Republicans because, well, he's a straight white male, and he's associating himself with blue jeans and the American flag. And another one said, it's actually a talent to be half naked constantly and still have absolutely zero sex appeal. Like, everyone just hated this. Everyone said, thanks, I hate it. Throw it straight in the bin. We don't need this. He's adding nothing to pop music. Yep. His brand is irrelevant. His vocals are obnoxious. And he's just kind of a blank slate for whatever a record label wants to invent him as.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. That's all that need be said,
all right.
I suppose.
So he may be irrelevant, but somebody who is not irrelevant, at least for the next 10 minutes, is Mickey Rourke, because he's got himself into deep, deep trouble.
Surprisingly. Following inappropriate comments made toward his Big Brother co-star Jojo Siwa, Mickey Rourke has officially been booted from the cast because his behavior just continued getting worse afterwards. He has been removed from Celebrity Big Brother UK. He agreed to leave following a discussion with Big Brother regarding his further use of inappropriate language and instances of unacceptable behavior. So this wasn't just him allegedly calling Jojo Siwa a homophobic slur or saying that he wanted to turn her straight. It went further than that, and at that point they decided an apology wasn't enough and he had to get kicked out of the cast.
It's so weird. This is a complete aside, but I thought he was wearing a pink cardigan, but it's actually because he's got like the ascot around his neck.
Right, yeah. I don't know what this outfit was going for.
Anyways.
But footage of his exit has now been released on social media. In the clip, Big Brother informs Mickey Rourke that he has been kicked out after a disagreement he had with Chris Hughes, in which his language was, quote, threatening and aggressive, in addition to using inappropriate sexual language with another cast member, Ella Ray Wise. He actually agrees with Big Brother's assessment of his interaction with Chris Hughes, in which he began cussing him out after he looked at him when discussing a rat in the house, but says he was not aware of his inappropriate sexual language in reference to Ella Ray Wise. Earlier in the episode, when Ella Ray Wise said Rourke must come with her somewhere, he replied, "Come in you?" So he was just trying his absolute best to be as offensive as possible.
Just trying to get kicked off.
I had never heard of someone too toxic, even for reality television.
It's kind of impressive when you think about it.
Yeah, like he is setting records. I kind of do find it impressive. He was already in hot water because of his dispute with Jojo Siwa, which he ended up having to apologize for on camera. And they thought that it was going to be put to rest, but then he continued spiraling afterwards.
The chat agreed with me, or at least Twitter agreed with me over the weekend. They said with the release of The Last of Us, what they need to do is they need to replace Bella Ramsey with Jojo Siwa for one episode and then just never address it again. It would have been great with the pink hair on the side and all.
Everyone said that Jojo Siwa is like the alternate universe Bella Ramsey, who's more attractive.
She's also taller and probably actually could be more imposing because nobody's buying Bella Ramsey as imposing as Ellie.
No, not at all. Even the aged up version.
Do you want to read his quote? Do we have his quote here?
Yeah, his full response. He proceeds to apologize, saying, "I'm sorry, I can't take it back. I stepped over the line and I take responsibility for doing the wrong thing because I lost my temper and I've been trying to work on it my whole life. And I wish I would have had better self-control, and I'm very sorry. I'm ashamed of myself for losing it for a few seconds there. I blame myself. I know it was bad. I've got a short fuse. I know I upset a lot of people out there. I'm sorry for that. I'm actually ashamed of myself for getting that hot. I went over the line. I did wrong. I guess I could say I'm a work in progress."
I mean, maybe he actually believes it because I feel like if this was actually like a work, he would just been like, I don't take any of it back. Screw you guys.
However, a spokesperson did give a statement on behalf of Mickey Rourke saying he was not made aware of any of these concerns of misconduct. So I want to get into later on social media posts from Bella Thorne after he got kicked off of the show. Bella Thorne decided it was her time to finally call him out for misconduct when they were on set together as coworkers.
How long ago was this?
Let me look up when this came out.
Yeah. 2020? It was released
filming
in 2020?
pre-COVID, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
It was the 2020 movie Girl. Okay. So she is now accusing Mickey Rourke of basically sexual misconduct on the set of this movie. I didn't even know that they were on it together because it made zero impact. But she posted on her Twitter under the screen name, "Bitch, I'm Bella Thorne," this rant. "This effing dude, gross. I had to work with this man in a scene where I'm on my knees with my hands up, zip tied. This is insane. Zip tied around my back. He's supposed to take a metal grinder to my kneecap, and instead he used it on my genitals through my jeans, hitting them over and over again. I had bruises on my pelvic bone. Working with Mickey was one of the all-time worst experiences of my life working as an actress. She continues in a tweet, so many gross stories of things he made me go through on that movie, including in his last scene to speed up and rev his engine so he could cover me completely in dirt. I don't know. I guess he thought it was funny to humiliate me in front of the entire crew. Having to go in his trailer absolutely alone because he refused to speak to the director or producers, so I had to convince him to show up and complete his job, as he shouted crazy demands that he wanted from the producers. In fact, I had to beg alone in his trailer, since the movie could not be finished without him. Everyone's work would have just been lost and completely for nothing. I didn't want to do it. I was uncomfortable, but I did what I was asked to do and what was best for the movie. Mickey should have never put anybody in that movie in any of those positions that he did. And she followed this up saying, side note, F Mickey. How he acted doesn't negate incredible hard work that everybody put into that movie. Everyone worked hard, literal blood, sweat, and tears to make that vision, and I'm really proud of everyone and the work that was done on that movie. So I was unaware of any of these complaints about him. Honestly, I thought that he was a hothead and controversial and trying to drum up controversy just for the sake of it.
Yep.
I didn't know that he had basically Me Too claims on his back. But because these are out now, he had to respond in an official way through his legal team. A representative for Mickey Rourke gave the following statement to Variety, saying they were unaware of statements made by Bella Thorne regarding her experience on set during the production of a past film. These allegations are extremely serious. He adamantly denies any intentional misconduct. He was not made aware of any such concerns during filming and had no prior knowledge of Bella Thorne's discomfort until now. Out of respect for all parties and given the gravity of these claims, Mickey Rourke will not be making further public comment at this time. He remains willing to cooperate with any appropriate inquiry through the proper channels. We affirm the right of every performer to feel safe and respected in their work environment.
Yeah. I don't know if anything is going to come from this. Doesn't sound like she's, looking for legal action. She just wanted to get in on the story while it was hot.
Yeah, Bella Thorne is also sadly just as irrelevant as Mickey Rourke these days.
Yeah.
So they're both equally desperate to drum up more attention for themselves online. And I think that's what he was trying to do with his stunts on Big Brother in the first place.
Yep.
Especially the things he was saying to JoJo Siwa. He was expecting JoJo Siwa to get all visibly upset and offended and get into a screaming match with him, and then she didn't take the bait, which I applaud her for.
Yep.
But there's no sympathy for him now.
No, there won't be. And with these cases, this will just be one of those things that sits when you look up his name, and there will be no way to confirm or deny it unless more, producers or other actors could come out and say that he misbehaved on set as well.
But that just means he's a demanding jerk.
Yes.
That's all that really means, which is to be expected in his industry. I'm sure there are plenty of people who have bad stories about Bella Thorne being a bitch on set.
Yeah, but hers gravitate towards being sexual in nature because of what they said.
The first part,
yes, the first part, and that's where all the headlines,
her, yeah.
all of the headlines will go to that,
Right.
and it will become a quasi Me Too claim that will dominate the headlines. While the rest of it is just he's a typical actor being a dickhead to everybody.
Exactly, and that's why these allegations tend to fall flat, because it gets mixed in this muddy water with, oh, he was mean to JoJo Siwa.
Yep.
Whereas you actually want to take the other claims seriously because they would be criminal, and it ends up being a wash.
Yep.
But overall, I feel like they shouldn't have kicked him off, and I feel like he also shouldn't have apologized.
I don't think he should have apologized.
He did exactly what reality TV stars are supposed to do.
Like, if the idea here is that the producers are like, we need somebody to play
Yeah.
the heel, then you don't apologize. You just lean into it.
That's exactly what you need to sell the show.
Yeah.
You need controversy, you need conflict, you need drama. That's reality TV in a nutshell. He was doing them a favor. He was doing the network a favor by acting out on set and saying crazy shit.
That was his job.
So why would they kick him off? I just don't understand it. That's the entertainment value.
I mean, is the idea that you can say all the crazy stuff you want, but once you get into stuff that's like social justice related, like identity politics,
Or if it's like
then,
sexual in nature.
then it's not gonna fly.
Okay. Too raunchy, I guess.
Yeah.
Like too raunchy for TV.
Yep.
I think people were being more defensive of JoJo Siwa, not because she's a lesbian, but more so because she's still seen as a child.
Yeah.
Despite being 21 years old,
And
she
he's-
still is thought of as a child star
And he's
to this
old,
day.
so
And he's an old, decrepit man who looks gross. So he just looks lecherous and predatory.
all right.
But she did a good job, you know, standing up for herself, standing her ground, and not giving him the reaction that he wanted.
Yeah. All right. What would you like to see, cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see cringe first.
Okay, we'll do cringe first then.
This one is pretty good.
It's from an account called I've Had It.
This is the I've Had It podcast.
And-
We've actually talked about them on the show before
And
because they're awful.
And the quote says, white women do
These are
better.
the definition of awfuls, by the way. The affluent white female liberals.
Okay.
This is them.
I tell you one thing I've just really had it with. When you look at black women, 90-something% all voted one way. White women, nope. And I've had it with these white women that are just enablers to this patriarchal system, but then they act like they're cool boss bitches when they're peddling their multi-level marketing shit. Fuck off. If if you're not going to vote for women, then stay at home and be a trad wife. Otherwise, sit down and shut the fuck up and let the real boss bitches take over. It really pisses me off.
White women are a huge disappointment. The overwhelming majority are a huge disappointment.
Sit down, shut up, and let the real boss bitches take over. Okay. They're literally embodying that scene from White Lotus about, wait, you voted for Trump?
They're
they're aghast.
louder for
Scandalized.
louder for Cheryl Hines in the back is one of the comments.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't Trump
They're so
didn't Trump
obnoxious.
leave her hanging at UFC? Like she
Really?
reached out for his hand and he just walked right by her.
I didn't know that.
Maybe he just didn't see her.
This podcast, the I've Had It podcast, the whole point of it is like them saying, I've had it with this X, I've had it with Y. And they have had it with white women, even though they themselves are the exact white women they're talking about.
Well, no, because they vote differently than the white women they're talking about.
They're the good ones.
They're the good ones.
Got it. They're the exceptions.
Look, I don't know.
They're the virtuous ones.
I don't know, man. They all look the same to me.
Right. They really do. I mean, those two women in a lineup, I would not be able to differentiate.
I will give them this. They know their audience, and they know their job, and they do their job well.
I bet they drink sparkling rosé while they record the podcast.
Okay.
You know what? We should do that. We should just become like them.
Okay. We can do that.
Drink skinny margs.
I'm not going to do that because oh, God.
We were just talking the other day about even the term margs.
It's, yeah.
Margs. No, because I came in here and I said that I had a margarita pizza, and you were like, margarita? Wait, you had a margarita?
You didn't say the pizza part. You said I had a margarita, and I was like, huh? And I didn't realize you were like talking about
the pizza, yeah.
And then I made some joke about what if Tim was like margs.
Let's get margs.
Okay. Let's do cute of the day. Nepo baby goes to the head of the line. It's Chloe's birthday today, ladies and gentlemen. It's also my father's birthday today. So my
Happy birthday,
my
Brett's father.
My fiance's cat and my dad have the same birthday.
That's kind of nice.
Not the same year.
That's cute.
Today is Chloe's 9th birthday. She's such a lovable, fat, precious girl, and I love her so much. Everyone wish her a happy birthday.
So what does she get?
Extra food.
Just a treat.
Extra food.
I mean, she doesn't know it's her birthday, so I guess it's fine. Happy birthday. She looks very sad.
Well, she always looks kind of vaguely sad. It's the way her eyes are shaped.
Yeah. I kind of like it, though.
Yesterday.
It's a look.
Yesterday, Toast. We've been gradually allowing Toast to spend more time in the rest of the home, and Chloe was up on a windowsill, and Toast was just there staring at her creepily, because that's what Toast does when she's around the other cats. She just walks up to like just far enough away that you won't reach out and attack her, but still too close for comfort, and stares at her. And Chloe then stares at her, being stared at, and then they just stared at each other.
I feel bad for Toast.
Yeah.
She's so nice. She just wants friends.
She does. She's a lot younger than them. She's more
naive.
energetic.
She hasn't learned yet that these streets are mean.
That's exactly what it is. All right. Let's go ahead and move on then. Let's get started. So guys, over the weekend, a bunch of news came out that is absolutely priming the political landscape right now. And you guys might be wondering why a pop culture show is talking about this. It connects to Coachella because what we found out was that 60% of the tickets bought for Coachella were financed. So imagine all of those people who go to a live event where a bunch of musicians and punk bands prime you with political rhetoric, all to then be given a speech by Bernie Sanders about social justice. Well, over the weekend, crazy stuff happened relating to a young man who killed his own parents in relation to wanting to commit political assassination, and a governor's home was burned down. And the reason this all connects is because it feels like Coachella is just one big communist revolutionary priming point.
It feels like Coachella 2025 is the beginning to a really ugly summer for this reason. And before we even get into any of that, can you just imagine being one of these pathetic idiots who ended up like using Klarna or Afterpay on their Coachella tickets with such inflated prices? Most people in this economy are priced out of going to Coachella. So not even to mention the cost of a hotel or flights you're using to go there. But 60% of them, the majority of people who are paying for tickets, who aren't either, you know, performers or people who are paid to be there for PR reasons.
So the tickets are like $600, but then they're paying over $1,000 with hotel and everything
else. Of course,
else.
Unless you're camping out in a disgusting tent somewhere. But like the majority of people going to Coachella for a photo op, it's usually because of that, because everyone knows you don't go to Coachella for the music. You're going for the photo op and you can't even afford to be there.
Yep.
So just based on that alone, you know that there is a lot of resentment in the crowd that is attracted to an event like this. And this was the perfect breeding ground for leftist indoctrination, starting with this performance by the Circle Jerks. Frontman Keith Morris made a public statement at the end of his song, his rendition of Coup d'etat. He ended with the words, "kill all." And he ended up basically calling for an army of Luigis during his speech.
He said he makes a point that the band does not condone what it describes, which includes kidnapping government leaders for ransom and leading a coup. He says, quote, "That song, that last line ends with kill all. It's a pretty effing ugly statement. In ugly times, do not think that we encourage that. However," remember, there's the however.
Yes. Then he went in a different direction saying, what we do encourage, what would be totally effing happening, would be an army of Luigis, referring, of course, to Luigi Mangione. Okay. So
what
he's
does that
basically inciting people to do assassination attempts.
It's the same thing that Bill Burr has been doing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Taylor Lorenz saying that Luigi Mangione has good morals. It's the late night shows not taking it seriously. All of this, now I want you to imagine all of this on top of more acts having such speeches related to Palestine, related to Margaret Thatcher.
Well, I want to add before we move on from this example, Keith Morris also made a call out to his sister, who voted for, quote, that guy, as he put it, a nod to Trump, and he briefly recounted that he could no longer visit his sister, describing her as a white Christian nationalist. So we're promoting the breakdown of families, we're promoting violence, and basically, people are losing their effing minds. This comes as no surprise, though. Billie Joe Armstrong was the headliner in Green Day was the headliner for Saturday, and they do this stuff a lot in their concerts. It's not just this one-time thing. They change their lyrics to be as politically incendiary as possible, and they change the lyrics in Jesus of Suburbia to make a reference to the Israel-Palestine conflict. I'm guessing so that they can virtue signal to a younger audience in defense of freeing Palestine. We have another 20 from Value in You. Mary, serious question. Tim gave you a shout out on IRL for saying nothing ever happens, which I largely agree with. Do you still feel that way going into summer given current events, Tesla stuff, Coachella, etc.?
I feel like when we talk about that, we mean more like on the government side of things, nothing ever. So when I think of that, and I'm not trying to answer the question for you, but like what I feel like a lot of times it's like, where's the Epstein list? That was supposed to happen. That never happened.
No, I agree. Yeah, it really refers to more so like actual policy instead of random chance events happening. Like clearly the last less than a year has been full of natural disasters and assassinations and insane stuff happening, but not on the side of like actual change fomented in the government. Correct. But here is what they did. During the band's opener, American Idiot, Billie Joe Armstrong repeated the same lyric change he debuted during their recent New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest appearance. I'm not a part of a redneck agenda. He changed to I'm not a part of a MAGA agenda. And the crowd went wild. And then another updated lyric was from Jesus of Suburbia. He changed the line, running away from pain when you've been victimized, to running away from pain like the kids from Palestine. Tales from another broken home.
Wonder if
You're so cringy.
Wonder if he like went through the song set and was like looking for one that rhymed.
No, he was. You know that he was, which makes it even more cringy. Like how premeditated it was and how he thought he ate after doing it. And everyone just loved it. On top of that, the Irish hip-hop trio Kneecap, which I was surprised I had actually heard of them before, alleges that Coachella censored them by cutting their stream as soon as they had led an anti-Margaret Thatcher rant. Just so you know, this woman hasn't been in power for decades and has already been dead for over a decade.
They said that they cut it during they had a message about Palestine that got cut.
Well, they said that it got cut after the chant.
Yeah.
So they think that it was the chant, but then they repeated, not the only thing that was cut. Our messaging on the U.S.-backed genocide in Gaza somehow never appeared on screens either. Back next Friday, Coachella, and it will be sorted. And then Hassan responded to them, attempting to collab on a stream. Hassan said, I have an idea on how we could ensure it doesn't get cut next time. And they say, let's collaborate, comrade.
Yeah.
Comrade.
If there was a delay on the live stream, like if they have a delay, then it probably was the Palestine stuff.
But that also means, you know, Coachella should have rules set out very explicitly for these artists and performers so they know exactly what is within and without the bounds of acceptability, because they clearly thought that this was allowed and even encouraged. So they were shocked that they were censored for this. Hassan, however, is saying he's going to third-party stream their performance regardless of what Coachella does, which sounds like a copyright violation anyway.
Yep.
Now, they also featured Bernie Sanders on stage yesterday.
It's like a 3-minute video. I don't think we need to watch the 3-minute video.
We don't need to watch the whole thing. I just wanted to show some of it. Yeah. But Bernie Sanders did the honors of introducing Clairo and said, thank you, Coachella. I enjoyed introducing the great Clairo tonight. These are tough times. The younger generation has to help lead in the fight to combat climate change, protect women's rights, and build an economy that works for all, not just the few. Let's just take a look at his speech real quick. I want to
Be
know
long, but this is
how the
what I
crowd
wanna
felt.
Say. This country faces some very difficult challenges.
We love you, Bernie.
And the future of what happens to America is dependent upon your generation.
Just as soon as you get out of debt from buying your tickets to Coachella.
Right.
Now you can turn away and you can ignore what goes on, but if you do that, you do it at your own peril. We need you to stand up to fight for justice.
All right.
Okay. Here's the.
So they loved that.
Here's the thing about it all, though. So you have all of these acts come together with this message. You have Bernie Sanders come together and cloak it in the term of social justice, and all of this going on with people living above their means. And it's not hard to see. Look, I brought it up on IRL last week. I said, look, say what you want about Bernie or any of this stuff, but there is an unrest among the youth that is not going to go away just by complaining about it, okay? So when people can't afford to own a home, when people have to worry that breaking their leg will bankrupt them for the rest of their lives, there is an unrest to just going out and living in the everyday world now that is impossible to ignore. Now, I'm not saying that he has the answer to that, but I am saying that in 2016, what he was saying resonated with a lot of people, and then the Dems went and screwed him over and put Hillary in place there. But the point is that whether you think the answer is through deregulation of, say, the medical industry and the way it's been attached to our economy, or you think that the answer is to regulate further, I disagree with that personally. But the point is, they're looking for answers. And they're going to go for people that have a message similar to the other issues that they believe in. And with what we saw over the weekend relating to, what was his name? Nikita Kasap or something like that. And then Cody Balmer, the guy who, so one murdered his own parents so that he could finance an attempted assassination of the president. And the other one burned Josh Shapiro's, governor's mansion to the ground, or at least tried to burn it to the ground. There is a level of unrest that cannot just be waved away as, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. That's what the boomers were doing, but there is no answer to all of this. And what we're going through right now with the unrest in the economy related to the tariffs, whether we believe that is for strong long-term gain or not, that's a debatable point as well. The unrest is being stoked by people all over the place. And it seemed like this was, like you said, there's an ominous air to the fact that this much of it all happened in one place, while these other events that I mentioned were going on somewhere else.
Yeah, you said that there are all of these people who are looking for answers. And I would say even more than they're looking for answers, they're looking for a place to feel angry with other like-minded people. And this has become this kind of gathering that has nothing to do with music. Like, it makes perfect sense to me that Coachella is not for listening to music anymore. It is to gather in the same place with other people who are generally in the same younger generation, who have the same social media diet as you, who are feeling the same spiritual unrest that you are feeling. And then it all is bouncing off of each other, and there is a rising sense of, I would say, rage and also apathy and nihilism in the air. And I think it also makes perfect sense that this is a locus for witchcraft. And I wanted to mention that in relation to Lady Gaga.
I did say Josh Shapiro, right? I didn't say Ben. Okay, just making sure.
Lady Gaga was performing as one of the headliners as well, and she is promoting this newer single of hers, Abracadabra. And I was planning to talk about this eventually, but I guess it never came up. Some people think that Lady Gaga's song, Abracadabra, is actually a spell. And this is not just people who dislike Lady Gaga who are saying this to slander her. these are fans of Lady Gaga who actually identify as witches and are praising her for this. And it's so appropriate that there was a literal bag lady, a witch, handing out abracadabra-themed voodoo dolls at Coachella to put curses on people. I mean, that is essentially what she's doing. She's giving out a talisman to curse you if you accept it. And
ironic, she's got a Hobby Lobby bag.
I also wanted to bring up this video from a YouTuber named Taylor Alicia, who presented this information about what her fans are saying, that this is a spell, that it's witchcraft, and they are supporting that. Like, it's not people who are conspiracy theorists, it's people who actually believe in this stuff and practice witchcraft who are saying that Lady Gaga is sending them a message.
Okay, here we go.
Gaga just released her new album, and one of her songs, Abracadabra, has taken the world by storm. Her fans just can't stop listening to it, and a particular community within her fan base have picked up on the fact that there is more to this song, and how Lady Gaga's Abracadabra is enchanted. They quickly noticed that these lyrics are casting a spell.
Abracadabra isn't just the song. It's a spell.
Lady Gaga herself has confirmed the allegations and claimed that it is a protection spell. She also has reposted this video of a practicing witch decoding the new song, as abracadabra is actually a Hebrew phrase meaning I will create as I speak. Other witches also claimed that Lady Gaga's new song includes a hex. Stop listening to these artists who work for the kingdom of darkness. Black magic is an abomination to God. Why? Because he's a bunch of rules and takes away all of the fun and all of the power that can be found in yourself and in the things of this air. No, friend, because God is protecting you, because God is warning you that when you interfere with the spirit realm, you are interfering with demons. When you are interfering with black magic, it will backfire on you. The devil is real and he is not your friend. God, Jesus, is the only real friend that you have. Lady Gaga.
I liked how the music went from serious and scary,
yeah,
but it wasn't
like,
quite serious and scary enough. It was just kind of middling serious and scary to Hallmark heartfelt.
But I wanted to give her credit for sourcing the TikToks and the social media posts of Lady Gaga's fans. One of them said, "Us witches see you, Gaga. We know protection when we hear it." And there was another one saying, "All the astrology and witchy people know that Abracadabra is a protection spell song." Another one said, "The first time I heard this, I said to myself, oh, Gaga is casting spells out in the open now. I hope," this is a response, "I hope she destroys religion." That was another one, a fan of Lady Gaga saying that. Not a hater, not anyone who is trying to like spread a theory. And then another fan said that Gaga commented on a TikTok admitting that it was a spell she rewrote about 50 times.
Okay.
So I don't think that that's entirely far-fetched to say that, especially if her fans are using it as a spell, that it's witchcraft.
What you should do is then listen to Alice Cooper to ward it off.
Lady Gaga also reposted people who were like self-identified witches explaining the meaning of the abracadabra spell. Yeah. So she's at least leaning into it, whether or not she thinks it's a joke or anything like that. That was real. And she was one of the headlining performances at Coachella this time around. And I think I would be remiss not to mention it because I think that it has something to do with stirring up these feelings of unrest and angst and anger in people. Like, I do think that that is inflaming people toward these violent sentiments. And it's openly being encouraged and celebrated now. And it's seen as cool to literally incite assassination attempts against not only politicians, but also like random people who are rich.
Yep. Yeah, and
the resentment in the air is just like
it's palpable.
Palpable, yeah.
It is the have-nots, and I've tried to make that warning a lot of the time because, like I said, I don't have the answer, but to pretend like there isn't some type of valid criticism of like the medical industrial complex in this country is ridiculous, and to think that that message isn't going to resonate with some people, that doesn't mean they get the right answer, but it means that they're going to find a lot of people in that camp, even if we don't believe that they necessarily have the answer to fix the problems. And until you address that, you're going to risk this getting worse and worse.
I also just wanted to mention a have-not. Charlie XCX is a have-not.
She has not headlined Coachella.
She was so mad that she got passed up as a headliner in favor of Green Day instead.
Well, if
Brett Summer was last year.
If this had happened closer to the election, they might have put you as the headliner.
If Kamala won,
maybe
Charlie XCX would have been a headliner. But that's not the reality we live in. And she wore this sash that says Miss should be a headliner.
That is like
at her set.
There's something insane about the level of cope there, where it's like would a dude ever do? I don't think a dude would ever do that. I don't think a dude would ever let you know he's that insecure about this.
No, why would you broadcast to everyone
that you're jealous,
that you're salty about someone else's success? And then someone responded saying, "Imagine being so far up your own ass that you think you're more popular than Green Day after one mediocre EDM album that was overplayed by coke addicts on TikTok." Literally true. And I liked Brett. Like, I was fully into that album, and I still am willing to recognize that Green Day is way more of a draw than Charlie XCX. But hopefully she'll realize that on her own one day.
Don't worry, guys. It's Brett Summer this summer.
It's Brett Summer
I saw somebody
2025.
in the chat say,
yeah.
Brett Summer 2025.
Are you a Brett girl?
Yes.
I love that for you.
Let's do some super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. I hope everyone had a great Palm Sunday. I apologize for the snakes/pretzels on a plane short, Mary. It was all in good fun. I made up for it with the PCC action figures." Yeah, over the weekend, I saw everybody making these Chat GPT images of themselves as like Barbie dolls or action figure starter packs.
Yeah.
And I don't have the slightest clue how they're doing it. Did you figure it out, or?
I didn't do it, but I saw people doing it.
It just seems like too much effort.
My favorite was the single mother one was really funny. Nissan Altima sold separately.
I think that if Xavier DeRusso had one, it would have an Erewhon smoothie in the packaging.
And a phone so that he can film his
Right.
walk with me's.
And his headphones, the whole look. Kenneth Hart said, "Okay, Brett, I binge watched Buffy season 1. It's like Monster of the Week for X-Files, but with Whedon dialogue quip. Not bad, even if it feels like I'm watching a documentary of Mary's eternal acid trip."
It becomes less Monster of the Week as the show goes on. It does.
So how long do you need to watch it for it?
I mean, the first three. I love the first. Look, I'm kind of with JB's Spooky Reviews, who talks about this. Like, I prefer like individual episodes, anyways. Like, I don't want to watch serialized. I have to watch every episode to know what's going on and stuff. So the Monster of the Week ones work for me. But those first 3 seasons of Buffy while they're in high school are some great television. So I, at the very least, would consider watching all the way through when they graduate and then they blow up the school. Or the school. I don't remember if the school blows up or starts on fire. But it was.
I know it's been a while, but
yeah.
Spoiler, huh?
Yeah.
You just spoiled it for me.
It's from 1995.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the heck?
But yeah. So
I like that we're on the same page about this. Like, I'm not going to listen to someone who says, "Oh, it gets really good like in season 4.
5." Yeah.
You have to wait until then.
Well, I like those first 3 seasons of that show. Like, I'm trying to think if there's any. The only time that actually works is like you've conceded that to people that while others might like the later seasons more and they might be the pinnacle of television, the first seasons obviously worked for you. Otherwise, you never would have made it that far to begin with.
It had to be good enough.
It had to be good enough. But it's like, I still get the point that people make when they say like, it really gets good in this season. But to me, it's like, clearly it was good to begin with. Otherwise, you wouldn't have made it that far. Yeah. But asking me like, bro, it gets really good in season 6. I'm not doing that.
My life is worth something.
Yes, it is.
Kenneth Hart said, "I can't believe Fox wasn't greedy enough to do a crossover with X-Files and Buffy. That's just crazy. Also, I love the comically cruel popular girl."
Yeah, but the thing is, you're talking about...
Why didn't they do a crossover?
Well, so they were not... That wasn't a thing as much back then. So there was actually supposed to be a crossover episode between the X-Files and Picket Fences, which I've never seen, but it was on a different network. And they like... Their executives called their showrunner called their showrunner. Their writers worked with their writers, and all while this was happening, nobody asked CBS if they could do it. Like, can you imagine that? Like, they're just like, and then finally they're like, no, and so they had to scrap it.
Damn.
Crossover probably should have happened, but sometimes crossovers don't we don't
they're
need
gonna
them.
have this teenage girl.
We don't need crossovers all the time. Like, one of the worst of all times was when Bones did a crossover with Sleepy Hollow, and it made absolutely zero sense whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
Okay. It's just like, we're both on the same network. Let's cross over.
I just remember, like, all the Disney shows and all the Nickelodeon shows doing that stuff, and I went bananas for it as a kid, so I'm pro crossover episodes. You know what they should have done? Maybe Seinfeld and Friends crossover episode.
That would have been incredible.
That would have been nuclear.
And the thing is the thing about the evil popular girl is she has the greatest character arc in that whole show. Cordelia arguably has more character development than literally any character on that show, and she goes in to work on Angel and becomes her own real character. It was some of Charisma Carpenter's best work. In most of her job, at least in the stuff that I've seen her in, she went from playing the mean girl in high school to being like mean girl wife.
Well, this is why you need problematic TV characters and not making everybody a nice fluffy marshmallow of a person.
That is true. Like what they're going to do with Johnny Storm. With
Johnny
Storm.
Right.
Yep. All right, let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back.
HBO has finally come out with the official confirmations of their first casting in the Harry Potter reboot series. And I'm disappointed because I really thought that the race swap of Snape was possibly bait. But they confirmed it. They confirmed that Snape is now black.
I did actually think that was going to... I had a slight inkling that it was going to not happen.
It's real. But let's go through the list. So first off, we've got, of course, John Lithgow playing Dumbledore. They've confirmed as well Janet McTeer from Ozark. She's playing Professor McGonagall. And then you've also got, of course, Papa Esiadu, who is playing Snape. That's just the sticking point for me. Like, I can't get on board with that. Nick Frost is playing Hagrid. And they mentioned a couple of other less prominent roles. Luke Thallin will be playing Professor Quirrell. I don't know how to say it.
Quirrell.
Right. And then Paul Whitehouse playing caretaker Argus Filch.
Yeah, the Filch one won't be noticeable until they give him the bad teeth and the long hair. Then you'll be able to see it more clearly.
I'm sure that a lot of the believability is post makeup and costuming and lighting and all of that, the atmosphere of the show. But you cannot make people get on board with African Snape.
They keep also referring to faithful adaptation. They keep using it as like a buzzword.
Yeah, they are.
But it makes the one race swap more like stand out more.
Right, exactly.
It would have been less weird if you just race swapped a bunch of characters rather than just one that's arguably the most important character that isn't the main three.
Just like split it all over the place so that nobody can focus their outrage on anything in particular.
I thought this tweet from Stephanie was accurate. She says, and just like that, everyone who picks on Snape is going to be labeled a racist. In 2025, they would never let the silent hero of this series be a white man. What a shame. Look, is the argument supposed to be that race relations in the UK are not the same thing as race relations in America? Therefore, it's not supposed to translate that way? Because they're still going to have to do the scene where they hang him upside down under the tree.
Well,
that is a pivotal point for that character.
That ignores the fact that, of course, a huge audience for this show is going to be American. Yes, the history of race relations in the UK is far different from the US, but only to a certain degree. Papa Esiadu, he is African, right?
Correct.
I don't remember what nationality he is, but he is African descent. And that it on its own as a migrant from a third world country. You know, there's a lot of baggage there in the culture in the UK because of the migrant crisis there. So I wouldn't say race relations are stellar, and you're poking a bear essentially. And I wanted to go through this statement that they gave from Mark Mylod, the director. He said, "We're delighted to have such an extraordinary talent on board. We cannot wait to see them bring these beloved characters to new life." They specifically addressed the Snape race swap. Papa Essiadu's casting has caused a stir among some fans, as Snape has traditionally been viewed as a white character.
He has not been viewed that way. He is actually that. There's a reason why they say his face went marble white.
Yes.
And sallow skin.
Right.
Just no, and all the drawings that were used. Look, I would have had more respect for you if you had just said, we decided to change it.
Right. Just admit that you wanted to do it.
I'm fine with, I would say that it's a bad choice, but I would have more respect for you rather than playing these weasel words.
Because they're, you know, insulting our intelligence. But yeah, traditionally viewed as a white character portrayed by the late Alan Rickman in the film series, Mark Mylod commented saying, "Nobody can replace Alan Rickman, but we can find the next Alan Rickman." Bro.
Adam Driver was available, I bet.
Nobody can replace Alan Rickman, but we can replace Alan Rickman. That's literally what that means.
I wonder if Adam
In
Driver,
English.
I wonder if they offered Adam Driver the role and he's just like, bro, that's 7 series. That's like 12 years. I'm not doing that.
Oh, but he's not British though.
Yeah, but neither is John
So-
Lithgow.
Right.
John Lithgow's American.
Right,
So
but
that-
they'll just come up with some excuse for why this somehow makes sense if you do enough intellectual backflips.
I've heard it's gotten even worse for you guys who like Doctor Who. I don't watch Doctor Who, but I've heard it's gotten even worse with the virtue signaling over there with
sure it
Russell T
has.
Davies and whatnot. But the thing is, guys, is so they haven't cast the kids yet. They said that that they're in the process of casting. They've looked at like 32,000 young actors and actresses, right? So what you're going through right now is an unbelievably like harrowing experience of trying to make this happen, right? You're trying to distill down arguably 7 of the most popular books of the last 50 years and make a viable television show out of it, where for once you actually have like an original that people look on very, very, very fondly. Right? People love those original movies, no matter how much got cut out, whatnot. And you're setting yourself up for more work than you need to by creating controversy where there doesn't need to be any.
Right.
And I don't understand how. I mean, I guess it's because they're different divisions, but given the amount of money that, say, Universal has put into creating the Wizarding World, you think they would have called over to Warner Brothers and like, bro, please, like,
Yeah.
can you please not do this? Could you please not let this happen? Because our theme parks don't want to lose business because you turn people off this. Now, there's the possibility, a slim possibility, but maybe what happens is this guy ends up being so good in this role. Like, I've never seen Black Mirror, the stuff that he's been in. Maybe he ends up being a generational talent and it ends up being the most amazing thing ever. But that's not really possible because he doesn't actually command enough screen time to change people's opinion in that way. So all it ends up becoming is something that has the potential to be great everywhere else, with one very, very noticeable area where it's going to draw issues in every scene.
Well, you would think they were spread thin already, right? Like they had enough controversy to go around with just J.K. Rowling at the helm and the accompanying boycotts because of her outspokenness on the transgender issue. So it is quite puzzling that they would just choose another outrage cycle for themselves. Like, do you think that it's like a distraction tactic? Like they're trying to get other people to like, hey, look over there. Like there's this other controversy that has nothing to do with J.K. Rowling or what? What is the thought process? It's truly just
I can't think of
ignorance. It's just hubris. It's that they didn't see this coming.
It would have made more sense if like a bunch of characters were changed from their original versions. Like that would have made more sense to me.
Even that would have been met with a lot of criticism and
yeah, but then that would have
backlash,
been, but that would have been all encompassing. This is just like you're doing everything right, but this one thing, but the one thing that you got wrong is really, really important.
We got a 20 from Tuxedo Mask. Hogwarts in the hood, yo. We was wizards and shit. See, now you're only going to be seeing jokes like that, and there's no way to escape it.
In the chat, they're like, yeah, I understand that J.K. Rowling is a feminist who did these types of things all the time. I'm not saying that that's not true. She likes money, though, right? So apparently she doesn't like it enough to leave these characters alone. I don't know how much input she had on this. There's never been.
She has allegedly been heavily involved.
Again, I don't know. That doesn't
know.
confirm anything to me. Like, I don't know what that means for any of that. But they've set themselves up, if not for failure, they've set themselves up for mediocrity and something that's unbelievably of its time.
And this is setting itself up for close to a decade.
I would be willing to bet
in the culture.
I would be willing to bet that because they did the race swap in House of Dragons, and House of Dragons was still successful, some executive who doesn't understand the differences between the fan bases or the gravity and size of the Harry Potter scope said that we did it there and it was fine. Nobody cared. We're going to do it here.
They're so dumb. Like, all they needed to do was confirm Adam Driver for Snape. Or, you know what? Get that goth guy who co-hosts Great British Baking Show. I don't care.
Okay.
Then have him do like a voiceover or something. But no, Adam Driver, get him, no matter what the cost is. This is a huge endeavor. It's about a decade-long project. It has a lot to do with the actual attendance at your theme parks and the merchandise and everything.
Those are the theme parks are different.
The investment
from
will be
HBO,
worth it.
But yeah.
You know that the investment will be worth it, though. And then get Cillian Murphy for Voldemort. That's the other one that they need. They have not announced that casting yet either. But here was an interview with Channing Dungji from Warner Brothers in Deadline. They asked, are you close to naming Harry, Hermione, and Ron or confirming the adult cast? He said, we are not ready to announce the kids. We're still working our way through that process. You at Deadline are consistently breaking the news, even when we're not ready. I feel like you are very up to speed on all things Harry Potter in that way. They say, we don't have Voldemort yet. That's one I'm missing. He said, we're still weighing a couple of different options there, so we're not quite ready there yet. That's an important role to get right. Deadline says Cillian Murphy has been the one fans really want in the role, and he has been rumored for another Harry Potter character too. Is that a possibility? And then he responds, I have no comment, no comment, no comment.
There's a 20
He had no
there from
comment
Kenneth
times
Hart.
3. Kenneth Hart said, I demand an all Idris Elba Harry Potter reboot. We spent so much time asking if we cannot. Should we? We have the tech. The answer is yes for the lulz.
What if they made him Voldemort?
You know what? At this point, I wouldn't put it past them. But he seems to
play.
be...
He might be too old to play Kingsley Shacklebolt.
With the cheeky no comment thing, they seem to be hinting they will get Cillian Murphy to play Voldemort, and I think he would do it.
Yep.
But it is a huge commitment with your time and just the trajectory of your career. Like this is going to define a whole era of your life.
Yep. And they've got a lot of time to spend on it. Like the thing is, like if you want to get an actor that's big enough, you might be able to be like, we'll work around your schedule. Meaning like if we need to get your stuff shot first, we'll get your stuff shot first. But you can't really do that because the kids take precedence. You have to get that stuff filmed as quickly as possible. You can't give any of the adult actors any of the lead time because the kids have to be the first priority to make sure that they get the stuff done while they still look young enough.
They addressed that in The Hollywood Reporter. No child stars for the critical roles of Harry, Ron, and Hermione and Draco have yet been cast. Given the characters are only 11 years old in the first book, it would make sense to cast them as close to the start of production as possible. HBO said it expected to begin filming mid-2025, and there were 32,000 auditions. They have a team viewing somewhere between 500 and 1,000 auditions per day.
I feel like you cast younger.
Cast 9, 10-year-olds?
Like 9 and 10. So, like, to give yourself lead time. Like,
Yeah.
they're not good. Let's face it. a 10-year-old actor is not any better than an 11-year-old actor. That's not a thing. You get 9 and 10-year-olds who are they're not gonna be any good at acting. That's fine. And I have some faith that most of the people understand that. They used to say that, like, if you go watch old reviews of the original Harry Potter movies, a lot of times they're like, look, they weren't that good in the beginning.
They were pretty good though.
Hermione, like, enunciated everything that she ever said. But they'll grow into the roles and they'll get better with time. You get better the longer you do something. So you cast them younger so that you have some lead time, because they're just gonna start growing up so fast, and the whole production is going to be hinging on that. I mean, that, or what you do is
I know, puberty blockers.
I mean, what's even funnier is, like,
how about J.K. Rowling prescribes them puberty blockers?
It would be even exactly. It would be even funnier if, like, they don't even bother to try to keep to a schedule, and they're just 30 by the time they're done, and they don't address it. Like, my idea that I said to Mary, you just cast the original 3 as Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and you just never address it. They're just 35-year-olds at Hogwarts, and you don't call them 35-year-olds. You say, oh, you're 11. Yeah, some 11's got a beard. Like,
right.
you don't say anything about it.
Give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want. I mean, I don't think they would want to work with J.K. Rowling again.
No, this is too ridiculous. People are right to be mad about it, because in 2025, it has been long enough for these studio executives to know better.
Yep. All right.
Simply has been long overdue.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Pop Culture Junkie said, movie trailer script, large soft Pwetzels transform into puffy poisonous predators in Pwetzels on a Plane, starring Samuel L. Jackson. Get these fucking Pwetzels off the fucking plane.
Damn it, I wish I had it. So earlier, this dude sent me, thank you, by the way, like, he made a trailer for my pizza delivery killer.
Oh,
he made like an AI trailer, and it's full of, like, pizza puns.
We need to see it.
Let me see if I can
up.
find it. Let me see if I can find it. I'll send it to
the things that AI is capable of these days. Anti-You said scribblet. Still don't know what it means. I didn't know before. I still don't know. Deep South EDC said, Brett, thanks for responding to my tweet about street corn flavored Cheetos while you were live on Timcast IRL. You're such a master taskmaster.
I was definitely.
You were responding to people on Twitter while live.
Somebody else was talking. Here's this trailer, though. This made me laugh.
Okay.
In a quiet suburb, one pizza boy has had enough.
Oh, it's already off to a great start.
Get a better job. Ha 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 ha.
I mean, that's the sharpest. That had, like, that's a serrated pizza cutter.
Oh my goodness.
Decided to cheese the day and take a slice of the action, terrifying his victims and the lactose intolerant. One by one, another one bites the crust. Here today, gone tomato. This town is about to.
Thank you. That is so good, actually. This is the first time I've enjoyed anything made by AI.
Hold on. I gotta give him a proper shout out, because
so the puns were AI generated too.
I don't know if he wrote.
Or maybe he came up with it.
If he wrote a script for that. His name was Kevin in it's Empire Trailers. Looks like just it's like it's awesome.
Hilarious.
So
wait, I want to see the rest.
Want to see the rest? Okay.
Yeah.
This town is about to find out. He's a real pizza work. The pizza boy killer. 30 minutes, or your pizza's death. In theaters, never.
This needs to happen. This needs to be a reality.
I mean, bro is just psychotic looking.
Oh yeah, they picked the perfect face.
Take a slice of the action.
It's the Joker. If the Joker delivered pizzas for a living.
30 minutes or your pizza's death.
Kevin, man, that trailer was awesome. Thank you for sending that to me.
Thanks, Kevin. What the heck?
I don't know if he wants his last name out there, so I'm not gonna
shout out.
But shout out, dude. Let's move on, and then we'll
All right. SNL has just been accused of bullying. And it was because they did a skit making fun of the appearance of Amy Lou Wood, who plays Chelsea in The White Lotus. She has been in a lot of headlines lately because of the press around the show. And she was targeted by SNL for her prominent British teeth. She's a beautiful girl and everything, but she has very unique, natural teeth, which I think give you bragging rights in Hollywood these days when everyone has fake everything, including fake teeth. It is a credit to her that she kept a distinct feature about herself that isn't as conventionally attractive. However, that was the reason why they picked fun at her on SNL, and they had Sarah Sherman play her in costume with these gigantic fake teeth. We can show the side-by-side comparison here. They kind of nailed it. I think that in order to be, show the first photo. The first photo is the real her. Okay, those are her teeth, and then the parody of her. In order to be one of these actors on SNL, you do kind of have to have a very versatile face. I've noticed that about the cast, that they're able to impersonate a lot of different people.
Where Bowen Yang was like, "Can you please stop making me be J.D. Vance?"
Right? Nope. Too bad. But yeah, they made fun of her in this skit called The White POTUS, which also poked fun at Trump and the Trump administration, but it was included that she was in there, played by Sarah Sherman with these prosthetic teeth. And she thought it was very offensive and felt the need to completely crash out over it on her Instagram story with just post after post after post of her self-pitying rant. So, I want to preface this with some reason why they wrote this skit at her expense in the first place. She was doing this interview with GQ, I believe, and she addressed these insecurities she has about her appearance. But this was an excerpt from it. Looking back, the moment that really got into her head was when a producer approached her at the end of the first week of filming White Lotus. Someone told me how much Mike White, the showrunner, had fought for me. They said it had to be you, no matter what HBO said. It was honestly from the nicest place, but my little head goes, HBO didn't want me, and I know why HBO didn't want me. It's because I'm ugly. Mike had to say, please let me have the ugly girl. That was the thing that was in my head. So she was assuming that she wasn't marketable enough on screen because of her distinct appearance and these unique teeth she has. Nobody ever said that to her face, but it was where her assumption led, and that says everything about her reaction to SNL mocking her as well. So they were making fun of this interview that she did with GQ. Again, SNL isn't funny. Like, I don't want anyone to get it twisted. I'm not saying SNL is funny, but when you attempt to be funny, don't apologize for it and don't make excuses for it. They pick out the most chronically online things for their material these days that doesn't resonate with a mainstream audience.
Well,
and their ratings just continue plummeting.
What would it be that would resonate with a mainstream audience for them? I mean, I don't think of The White Lotus as a terminally online thing to talk about.
But knowing about her interview that she did, like talking about how she's insecure about her teeth, like that in and of itself is very online. But anyway, this was from a pre-taped spoof of White Lotus in which Sarah Sherman parodied her character, Chelsea. And then this is what she expressed on her Instagram story after the fact on Sunday. She called it mean and unfunny. In this post, she said, whilst in honest mode, I did find the SNL thing mean and unfunny. XO. Felt righteous. Might delete later. X. Such a shame, because I had such a great time watching it a couple weeks ago. Yeah, take the piss for sure. That's what the show is about. But there must be a cleverer, more nuanced, less cheap way.
It's actually not true. There doesn't need to be anything. That's not how comedy works.
No, it doesn't need to fit your standard of cleverness either.
It can be completely unclever and unnuanced.
I'm sure that Walton Goggins wouldn't have gotten all offended and cried about them making fun of his hairline on SNL.
Like I said, like one of the ways that you can really endear yourself to the public is to make yourself willing to be the butt of the joke when it's done in good faith. And that's kind of the definition of Saturday Night Live isn't doing it unless it's Trump, where they're being mean-spirited because it's Trump and they don't like him. Usually when it's just about another celebrity, it's kind of being done in good faith, kind of in the way that Weird Al would do parodies and he'd ask for permission from, you know, the artists to do the song, right? Like, it's supposed to be a sign that you've made it in that industry.
Well, weirdly, these days with the chronically online Gen Z audience she's courting, they are applauding her for this.
Of course.
So in reality, surrendering to being the butt of the joke once in a while isn't the way to get people to like you on the internet. Actually causing as much of an outrage cycle over it as possible is the way to get people on your side. So she followed this up on her Instagram saying, on a positive note, everyone is agreeing with me about it, so I'm glad I said something instead of going in on myself. And then she followed up saying, to conclude today's rant, HBO, kind and supportive and never wronged me, so leave them alone. SNL, mean. And one of her fans said, Amy Lou Wood has been nothing but gracious, even though she didn't have to, about everyone's sudden obsession with her teeth. But this SNL skit is such a low blow and unfunny that even she had to speak up. I'm proud of you, Amy. This is the type of response you will actually receive for not taking a joke once in a while, is praise. People will praise you for being overly sensitive. And then SNL, of course, made the fatal mistake of apologizing for the skit.
Yeah.
And she posted a follow-up saying that they had apologized to her privately. Because they're trying to get ahead of the controversy.
Was she mad that it wasn't a public apology?
Maybe. Maybe, because she was the one who publicized it. She publicized their apology on their behalf. And she also added, at least get the accent right. Seriously, I respect accuracy even if it's mean. And then she said in her last statement, last thing I'll say on the matter, I am not thin-skinned. I actually love being taken the piss out of when it's clever and in good spirits.
So only on your term. Only on your terms.
Exactly. But the joke was about fluoride. I have big gap teeth, not bad teeth. I don't mind caricature. I understand that's what SNL is. But the rest of the skit was punching up, and I/Chelsea, her character, was the only one punched down on. Okay, end of.
Nobody that actually likes comedy entertains the argument about punching up or punching down.
The fluoride joke, by the way, was aimed at RFK Jr., not Amy Lou Wood.
Yeah. See, I'm the one who's actually mad about fluoride being taken out of the water because for years I haven't drank tap water, and I figured because I'm dumb, I'm kind of getting a leg up on all the people who are being made stupider with the tap water having fluoride in it. Now everybody else is going to be even smarter than me than they already are.
You know, the right move for SNL wouldn't have been issuing an apology, either privately or publicly. The right move for SNL would just be doubling down next week and making a skit about how she has thin skin too.
Correct.
Actually, make a skit where she's played by Sarah Sherman as a beaver who's building a dam. How about that?
Yeah, it's anybody who's like, I don't have thin skin, but like,
you didn't do the joke to my specific guidelines.
It's not like they just said, look at her, she's we don't like the way that she looks. They actually made a point of making a joke about something specific. Work went into it. I don't think it was all that funny, but I don't think Saturday Night Live is really all that funny these days.
I mean, maybe if they weren't walking on eggshells all the time, they could be funny.
Yeah.
If they were willing to not be spineless.
There's nothing
when
worse
called
than people talking about whether you can punch up or punch down in comedy. It's kind of akin to how people are talking, what was going on between Douglas Murray and Dave Smith talking about you have to be an expert in something to have an opinion on it.
Oh, because they were saying like Douglas Murray is a doctorate or something.
So therefore his opinion means more than yours. It was a whole thing. But, you know, arguably she kept it. I don't think she was actually offended. I think she just kept it in the news cycle longer. She just knows that this is what works for her to get news. Because if she would have just not addressed it, it would have been a nothing burger on Monday. And then everybody would have forgot because nobody actually remembers anything from Saturday Night Live.
Well, no, I don't think that she is pretending to be offended. I think she legitimately was, and I think she is a legitimate, real-life cry-bully who thinks she is the main character of the universe. So when SNL already SNL is irrelevant. No one cares about SNL. But when SNL makes fun of her, this is the biggest world event that's happening right now. Everyone's talking about it. This is the center of everyone's universe. But no, it's really just you. So she just has no perspective.
Yeah.
What would have helped her is probably venting about this to someone who knows her in real life, and letting them offer her some of the perspective she lacks.
I guess just to me, it reminds me, and I've brought it up several times, how they used to do mean tweets and the celebrities would read tweets where somebody says something mean to them and then they just kind of look sad.
Or laugh it off, whatever.
Or laugh it off. Or, you know, but then it got worse when the celebrities would start like clapping back in the segment at the person.
Yeah.
That's not the point of that. The point of that is that you're a court jester, and you're of high, but somehow of higher social status than all of these people. They're now the ones who are able to take the piss out of you, much like how the court jester was the only one who was allowed to mock the king, right? The commoners are the ones who mock the celebrity, but then when the celebrity then goes and punches down, they're okay with punching down when it's them, when they want to punch down, when the celebrities want to insult the commoners. But then when somebody wants to, when a big network punches down on them, suddenly it's not okay. You got to be able to take it and dish it out.
Right. It's a different time now because what it means to like mock the king is not mocking the president. It's mocking the celebrity class. Yeah. So if we're not allowed to do that, we're doomed. Like comedy is doomed. I don't know. I don't like the whole like talk about like cancel culture and like legalize comedy and blah blah blah. There's nothing overtly censorious here. It was a choice they made to back down.
Yep.
That's self-censorship. If they want to live that way and they want to continue seeing their ratings plummet,
they will.
Then fine, like be my guest. You know?
Yep, I agree.
Continue failing, I guess. Like, I wasn't really rooting for SNL in the first place. Have at it.
All right, let's finish up these super chats.
Red Snow said, I got steak and PCC. Let's flipping go.
Did you flip the steak?
That sounds amazing.
No,
I really want a steak.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah. Joker said, I for one. Oh, no, I already read that one. Sorry. Red Snow, hate to say, but I disagree. Seeing Earth from space would be sick. Sorry, you're wrong, Brett. Plus, that's just one step closer to Space King. Personally, I would go to space because the hypothetical I gave you is like, okay, I gave you like a Blue Origin gift card. It's totally free.
One free.
Yeah.
It's like in the Lonely Island video when he opens the cereal box. It says one free boat ride.
Yeah. In this hypothetical,
one free space trip.
You don't have to pay for your space trip, and you don't have to consider any of the training that is involved. Just it's totally commitment free. So, but you still wouldn't do it?
I don't care. I'm not actually exploring anything that like I understand there's like the male desire, the urge to explore what's never been explored before, but this is just tantamount to like a sightseeing expedition. I don't care.
It's actually something we were talking about somewhat recently, like women who were saying it's an ick for men to want to go to space.
I would rather go someplace earthbound that I haven't been before.
Well, it's not an either or.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to pick between the two.
Yeah. It just I was only relating my point back to the fact that they're talking about it like they've done something great for womankind.
Yeah.
When that's not what happened here. You went on a tourist event that just hadn't been a tourist event of all women before.
Right.
A very expensive tourist event.
Well, thankfully they are back in one piece. The Manic Mustache said...
Wait, are they zero gravity up there?
They did not go into actual, like, zero gravity.
Okay, I would rather do the zero gravity simulator than go up and not actually go into zero gravity.
Actually, yeah.
Like, I would rather go, what is it called? The Vomit Comet?
Like, all that for 11 minutes.
Yeah, like, I would rather go to the zero gravity simulator.
The Manic Mustache said, wouldn't it just be easier to teach astronauts to be 304s? Sorry, I'll show myself out.
That's true. Yeah, wouldn't it be easier to just give a bunch of plastic surgery to women who are already qualified astronauts?
Yeah, but what happens when you go into zero gravity with a BVL? Might get ugly.
I mean, there's at least you're telling me Lauren Sanchez hasn't had some stuff stuffed up there?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Man.
I mean, what if she came back and her lips were like
They're all wonky.
To the other side.
Red Snow said, I forgot to get my peanut butter pretzels. Am sad. Well,
I'm telling you, they gave those
too
ladies
bad.
They gave those ladies some pretzels up there.
Maybe they got gourmet pretzels because it's the luxury experience.
Must have been.
Aaron Swain said, Mary Morgan solo album when? What, my Benson Boone cover album?
You should
do
that.
I'll let you know. Urashima Otaru said, Benson Boone looks like a 70s prawn star and gay. It is so confusing when people say stuff like that. Like, are you deeply familiar with 70s prawn?
It's just in all that is.
Why
just,
is it such a cultural
It's synonymous
thing?
to. It's the mustache. It's just synonymous to the mustache and probably hairy chest.
The trope is just like held over for so long. But yeah, it really ages him. We don't have any 22-year-old pop star that actually looks 22.
Yep.
Shane H. Wilder said he took his shirt off because he didn't know what else to do. How about singing and not dressing like an even gayer Freddie Mercury? Yeah, there's a thought. There's an idea of what to do at your own concert. Jason Dutton, can you name anything if better than listening to PCC and crushing the gym? Happy International Chess Day to the gym bros and broettes.
I mean, yeah, it would be going to space on a flight that I didn't have anything to do with other than to just sit there. That's what it would be.
That's the pinnacle of human existence.
This is going to be my own like hill to die on. It's like
okay, but just because you don't have anything to do with like accomplishing it, that doesn't mean it wouldn't be fun to go to space. So why wouldn't you do it?
The respect I have for the people choosing to do this is that it requires a lot of work beforehand, meaning there's physical requirements that have to be met. They don't just put you in a spacesuit and shoot you into space. You have to meet certain physical requirements, health requirements. That part that's kind of badass.
So you would do it?
No, but
Why won't you do it?
I don't care. I wouldn't do it. Maybe I would.
You just for free with zero commitment wouldn't go to space for a day?
Actually,
you
know
think
what?
that's lame?
I would kind of. I didn't say that I thought it was lame. Did I?
I know you didn't use that word, but you're I don't care. I'm too cool to go to space.
I would like it as the challenge to actually have to do the physical requirements beforehand. So then I feel like I accomplished.
Such a hipster answer.
No, then I have to feel like I accomplished something.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But like, why though? Like, going skydiving has nothing to do with you. Would you do that? No.
I mean, it is because you have to qualify to skydive alone.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the only things you're willing to do are things where you get some kind of credit?
No, where you challenge yourself to do it. Where it's
like,
not
would
just...
you go on a Ferris wheel? Oh no, because I didn't build the Ferris wheel, so I'm not gonna do that because that's like not like.
I find your comparison poor.
I find your opinion poor.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay, whatever. Okay, Red Snow said, do y'all know anything about K-pop? My coworker said that black people started the idea and then the Koreans stole it. Not sure if my coworker is weird. Your coworker sounds really weird. Because that's definitely not true. I'm pretty sure that Koreans made K-pop. But I don't know anything. I don't know much about it. I guess I know more than most because of what we do, but I'm not a fan. Shane H. Wilder said, Mickey Rourke looking like someone's wine aunt.
He does. He really does.
Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah. Omega Red fan said the movie Domino from 2005 with Mickey Rourke and Keira Knightley was pretty cringe, bro. It's about bounty hunters.
I actually love that movie.
So Keira Knightley is one of the bounty hunters?
I haven't seen that movie in so long, but I remember liking that movie. Had a great cover.
I remember my parents watching Doug the Bounty Hunter, and like I wasn't allowed to watch it with them because it was too crazy.
I mean, Dog the Bounty Hunter kind of looks like a why not now too. So
yeah. Weary Traveler said telling women to sit down and shut up isn't very progressive of her. I bet it's pure cobwebs and dust down there. Oof. Yeah. Red Snow said, Brett, all these white women look the same. True. I mean, yeah, especially when they get all the fillers and the Botox.
Yep.
Weary Traveler said the CIA is working overtime this summer. They truly are. They're booked and busy. I don't know what to expect next. Urashima Otaru said, repeal the 19th because witches, that is all. I mean, there are plenty of other great reasons as well, but that's one of them. Weary Traveler said, did she say Hebrew?
She did.
That is a Hebrew word, yes. Shane H. Wilder said, Brett mentions counter Lady Gaga evil magic with Alice Cooper, and I just sit here and nod with approval. I approve. Yeah, Alice Cooper is a warrior for Jesus now.
Yep.
Shane H. Wilder, hey, I didn't use ChatGPT for the PCC action figures. I used Photoshop so it wasn't generic AI slop. Well, we appreciate that.
We do.
Tophone Man said, Mary, please pray for my mom. She has a semi-severe medical problem where her skin is yellow. Thanks. Love you all. Well, if that's true, I will pray for her. That sounds concerning. You're welcome in advance.
Is that different than just having jaundiced skin?
It sounds like that's what it is. Hopefully it's not serious. Tyler W. said Buffy is to blame for bad millennial writing in...
I don't know what the HW stand for, but you are correct that a lot of Joss Whedon's Whedonisms in tone has kind of infected the rest of the Hollywood sphere. And the problem being that, like, back then, they found actors that really worked with that tone and pulled it off. Now they just give it to everyone, and not everyone can pull it off. Kind of in the way that a lot of Marvel characters are written to sound like Tony Stark, but not everybody can be Robert Downey Jr.
I kind of noticed that The Bear was written like that.
Was it?
With, like, Whedonisms. Pop Culture Junkie said, I had lunch in Houston in 1996 with Warren Littlefield, who was running NBC during the must-see TV era. He said there was a suggestion of a Seinfeld Friends crossover, but the Seinfeld folks nixed it. That follows, yeah.
They're like, we're above Friends.
I mean...
because our show is about nothing.
Yeah, true. Kenneth Hart said, cool, I was going to keep watching, got the DVD set, watching on a CRT, try it sometime, 90s shows recorded on tape, really shine in correct color space.
I do love watching the original versions. I mean, not to that extent, but I love it when they don't remaster shows. If it was shown on TV in a 4:3, aspect ratio, I'd prefer to watch it in the 4:3 aspect ratio. I don't want to see it remastered for widescreen.
We have a 20 here from Zach Hates YouTube. Mary is right. Brett is giving non-answers. Why wouldn't you go for a quick trip if the tech was advanced to allow for any health issues and every other excuse Brett gave? Is he really just too cool for space?
Fine,
LOL.
yes, I am. I'm way too cool for space.
Brett does think he's too cool for space.
You guys are all effing lame.
Oh my
and
gosh.
you have awful like hopes and dreams. That's what I'm saying.
I don't even consider it a hope or dream of mine. I'm just saying if I were allowed to go to space for free, I would 100% do it, because when else are you going to get to do that? It's just worth it for its own sake. Like, why do you need to earn something to make it worth it?
I was simply referring to it back to how they were talking about it, as if they were accomplishing something by going to do this.
I'm not
now,
talking
on
about
its own,
them. Now I'm talking about you.
Now I just don't care. Now I'm just not going because I don't care.
So you wouldn't go on a roller coaster because you didn't manufacture the roller coaster.
I don't go on roller coasters.
Why?
I just never go to theme
scared?
parks. No. That stuff doesn't bother me.
Okay, if you did.
Planes and...
If you did go to a theme park, you wouldn't go on any of the rides. Sounds like you're afraid.
No.
Well, what's the reason then?
I have no interest in it.
Because you're just too cool to go on a roller coaster, to go to space, to even go on a submarine. Would you do that?
Submarine sounds kind of cool.
So you would do that?
I don't know.
You're not even sure?
I'm just not that interesting. I don't want to do all these things.
But you did say that you want to travel.
I was kind of being facetious there. It's like
you don't even want to travel?
The point was that you have to actually be in charge of it when you're doing that. The point is they're all going up unmanned. This is going to derail, and we're going to end up on air for like 2 hours.
All right, whatever. Greg Duvier said, after all the auditions, the person we thought best to play Snape is Papa Esiadu, who happens to be black. That would be a better way to word it. Yeah, but even that would be a lie. So, you know, I wouldn't buy that. Kenneth Hart, Red Bandana Gaming said, Dumbledore is the Trinity killer.
Yes, that is true.
All I do is, I'm not going to read the rest of that. Hey, PCC, what's going on with the sweatshirts on spring? I ordered mine in October. They won't get back to me in emails. Also, we miss you on Ballers. So Teespring isn't going to get back to
Jessica
you?
might be able to help with this.
What the heck?
Can you,
send an email to popculturecrisis@timcast.com.
Send an email in and we'll see what's going on. I mean, we don't have any control over that, though. That's the whole point of,
it's not on our
I
side.
can't say that we can necessarily help, but we'll see.
No Control said if they can race swap, why not age swap? I mean, yeah, but I think the older cast has canceled Rowling sufficiently. Shane H. Wilder said Noel Fielding, the goth guy from Great British Bake Off and The Mighty Boosh, would be a great Snape. Yeah, I don't know about his acting skills, but the look is just chef's kiss. TX Goliath said Terry Crews as Dumbledore. Yeah, why the heck not? Kenneth Hart said that 20 was supposed to be $5. Oops.
Ew.
Too late, no refunds. Burnt Oils said, why are Mary's eyes so watery as of late?
I didn't even know our cameras were high def enough to be able to catch that.
You can see the water
see the
in my
water?
eyes. Sometimes my eyes are watery, but not today, so I don't know what you're talking about, man. Shane H. Wilder said, Mary, if you get Brett a space flight ticket, be aware that they cost $10K. You might need to use Kayak or Expedia to get a deal.
Wait, they got to be more than 10K.
That sounds on the low end, but it's only going to get more cheap as time goes on.
Okay, now you know what? See if you can get Tim to send me to space, I'll go. There you go.
All right, fine. That should be our next gongo.
If you super chat Tim and say send Brett to outer space, I'll do it.
Brett goes to space.
I will do it.
I'm loving this arc for you. Grin said, so someone smuggled a chicken into the Minecraft movie. Yeah, I saw that. It was sad, though, because then they just abandoned it on somebody's porch afterwards.
That is not good.
They're shitty people.
Yep.
Weary Traveler said, Brett doesn't want to go to space because there's no supply of monster in space.
That could be true, too. For all of 11
You can't go 11
minutes
without a hit.
For all of 11 minutes.
Shane H. Wilder said Brett is scared of the teacup ride at Disney. Confirmed.
That's exactly right.
Facts. Zach Hates YouTube said, I understand your obstinance, Brett, now that we want you to go, just like asking you to watch something. Pathological demand avoidance. That's what it is. I've diagnosed you. I have armchair diagnosed you. Pat the Plumber said, I'm with Brett on the Blue Origins crap. They didn't even reach zero gravity, so why go? Well, you get the view, you get the bragging rights, you get all of that stuff.
What bragging rights? You paid for an expensive tourist trap.
Well,
there's literally zero to brag about.
Experiencing something unique, even if you had nothing to do with working for it, is still something you can brag about.
Nah.
Experiencing something unique that other people haven't experienced, I think, is something valid that you can brag about.
Well, in this case, I wouldn't be able to then, because like the whole point is that you could afford to do it. That's the bragging point. I had the money to be able to afford to do this. Since I can't afford to send myself to space, I have nothing to brag about.
So if Tim sent you to space, you wouldn't brag about it.
There's still nothing to brag about there, no.
I mean, I'm always going to say we have the bragging rights of being on billboards. We didn't accomplish that either. But you still get the bragging rights because that's something that so few people can say about themselves. It's unique.
I guess.
Okay, whatever. You're just being a Debbie Downer today for whatever reason. I don't know what Brett's problem is, chat.
Is that all?
Try to cheer him up.
I'm perfectly fine.
But yeah, we're all caught up.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, almost perfect timing then. All right. Guys, before we go, hit the like button on this video. 1 like equals 1 time you get to go to space. I promise. Do it because I don't want you to.
Enter a sweepstakes for Blue Origin's ticket.
It's 1 like equals 1 Brett in space. So if you want me to go to space, you should hit the like button a bunch of times. Subscribe to the channel. If you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
There's a couple more super chats there.
Few new super chats here. Shane H. Wilder said, so Brett, go to space or watch Scream Queens?
Neither.
Good question.
Yeah.
Never gonna happen, I guess. High Voltage 75 said, I'll only go to space if there are snacky poos on the flight. Well, then you're SOL. Yurishima Otaru said, Brett has been to space. He doesn't want to brag. It's a secret.
Maybe.
You've already done it. You're just too humble. You don't want to tell anybody.
And then there's one more there.
Pop Culture Junkie said Blue Origin has no public price list, but the deposit is $150,000. Rumor price $1.5 million.
Damn.
Maybe the $150K is just the first deposit. Yeah, the security deposit.
Okay. All right, guys, if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. We are here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is noon Pacific, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That always helps. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show. Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. I'm going to outer space. See y'all then.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.